What's going on, NEM crew? We're back at it again with a shop talk video series thing on Subarus.
You heard him, guys. Not one, not two, 3 videos, because we're covering head gaskets. So we're working on an 06 Impreza wagon, non-turbo, so it's the EJ253 engine. All right, Nick's gonna let us know exactly how this is gonna happen.
All right, so we're gonna be starting with the engine out of the car. Now this is gonna give us a lot more room, and it's gonna make sure that we don't really run into issues with space and stuff like that, so we don't break anything when we're getting things out and stuff like that. It'll just be easier for us to think over and really look at what we're actually getting done, and it's not really a difficult thing to actually take the engine out on these cars. So if you guys wanna see that, let us know and we'll work on that for you guys for sure.
Now, I want to go on record and say you can do the head gaskets with the block and the engine in the car, but we prefer doing it out, so that's why we do it that way.
We're showing you guys the way that we do it. That's what we're doing.
If you don't like that, then, well, sorry.
Then go to the next video.
Yeah. And also, we are starting with the engine on a stand, just the crank pulley, and that's it.
Yeah. So, let's get into it.
Okay guys, this is it. This is the be-all and end-all Subaru head gaskets. That 22 mil bolt that holds on the crank pulley, you could just take that off with an impact gun, that's not a problem. And I also want to mention that this customer did not want to send out the cylinder heads to the machine shop. Normally I recommend this, especially if you're looking to hold on to the car for a while, but he did not want to go that route. So after you got the crank pulley off, you're going to start taking off your timing cover. There are 10 mil bolts that hold them on. Once you got your timing cover off, you can inspect your T-belts, your tensioner, your pulleys. 9 times out of 10, at least the tensioner and the belt should be replaced. The cap that I'm removing right now is only on manual transmissions. Make sure you do not lose it and it gets reinstalled properly after. I'll go over that further through the video series. But that is so that belt does not skip during high load or deceleration. It's a good idea to time the engine and set it up in its proper timed position before you remove the timing belt. The keyway needs to be at the 6 o'clock position, and there's a timing mark at the top of the crank and the cams, and they all need to be at 12 o'clock. When removing the timing belt, the first item I remove is the bottom left collared idler pulley. And then as you're removing these components, you could just quickly give them a spin. Make sure you don't hear any weird binding or looseness. If so, I'd recommend replacing them. Then you can go ahead and remove your tensioner. In this case, we're replacing it so we don't have to worry about pushing the piston inside their back. But normally you would push that piston in back. You can do it in a vise or a press and put a pin in it. So once you got all that off, you could take your belt off, inspect it. In this case, we are replacing it because it's in pretty rough shape. Once you got your belt off, you can remove the rest of your pulleys, and there's a little plastic rear timing cover on the right-hand side of the engine, your left-hand side, that needs to come off. And we are resealing the oil pump in this video and resealing the oil pan. The crank gear can be a little bit rough getting out, sometimes a little bit of corrosion builds up, but usually I soak it in some penetrating oil while I do some other things. The next step in this procedure is to remove the intake manifold and all the components that go with it. So to start off, the spark plug wires need to come out. As you can see, the pip seals or pipe seals are leaking quite badly. Now we're going to remove the valve covers. I just want to make a quick note. The bottom 3 bolts that secure the valve cover on can sometimes become seized. They may require some heat and replacement. One thing we didn't get on camera here, guys, is there's a Egr tube that needs to be removed. It connects the intake manifold to the cylinder head. So you need to remove that and then remove your intake manifold bolts and all your electrical connectors. And there's actually a 12 mil screw that holds, or bolt rather, that holds the 2 O2 sensor connectors to the cylinder head. That needs to come out in order to get the intake off. With the intake manifold removed, we can go ahead and start removing our left side, which is the driver's side cylinder head. These bolts need to come off in the reverse torque pattern. that's it for the first part of this video series. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next episode, which is going to be installing the oil pump, oil pan, and getting the cylinder heads prepped for installation. Stay classy, crew.